gonna rise up singing. Then you'll spread your wings and you'll take the sky. But till that morning, there's nothing can harm you. With Daddy and Mama standing by.
That was beautiful. That was Samaya Ali and David Huey performing Summertime from the Tony Award-winning musical, The Gershwins Porgy and Bess. Thank you so much. We are so lucky to have the wonderful cast and a few creative members of this production here at Google. I would like to welcome Suzan-Lori Parks, the musical book adapter and the first African-American woman to win the Pulitzer Prize in Drama. We also have Diane Paulus, the show's Tony Award-winning director. And Michael Strunsky, trustee of the Ira and Leonore Gershwin estate and nephew of Ira Gershwin. Let's start with you, Suzan-Lori. For those who might not know, can you please tell us what the story of Porgy and Bess is all about?
Yes, Porgy and Bess is a love story. It's set in Catfish Row, which is a neighborhood in South Carolina. Now, the main action concerns a man named Porgy, and he was born disabled. And because he was born with a disability, he actually believes that God has made him to be lonely, without love. And of course he's wrong, because into his life comes love in the form of a woman named Bess. And Porgy and Bess is also about the community of Catfish Row, and you get to meet the good folks and the bad folks, the church-going ladies and the scallywag men. You get to see them survive a hurricane. BTW Bess happens to be also involved with a guy called Crown, and so you get a little bit of a love triangle going on in there.
Lots of drama.
Lots of drama.
Thank you. And Diane, this is a great American masterpiece with a significant history. Can you tell us a little bit more about that history?
Yes, this piece is a great American masterwork. And it started as a novel in 1925 called Porgy, written by DuBose Hayward. It later became a play that DuBose's wife, Dorothy, basically wrote. She encouraged her husband to turn it into a play. They eventually co-wrote it together, premiered on Broadway in 1927. George Gershwin was looking for a subject matter to write his great American folk opera. He famously read the novel of Porgy in one sitting, wrote George Gershwin a letter and said, I want to turn this into an opera. At the time, George Gershwin said, oh, it's a play, it's having a success on Broadway, so George patiently waited. And eventually he wrote it in 1935. He brought in his brother, Ira Gershwin, who worked on the libretto and the lyrics with DuBose Hayward. It premiered in Boston, 1935, then went to Broadway. So this piece actually began on Broadway in the musical theater stage. There's an incredible piece of history that I want to mention. In 1936, the original cast goes on a very short tour. They go to Washington, D.C., and they play at the National Theater. And of course, when they arrive, the theater is segregated. So the original Porgy, named Todd Duncan, said, well, this is a problem. We're not going to perform this if this theater is segregated. And the producers at the National Theater said, well, that's the way it is. He said, no, you don't understand. We're not going to perform. So the producers said, we have a solution. Wednesdays and Saturday matinees for black people. And Todd Duncan said, not good enough. And Anne Brown, who was the original Bess, 19-year-old out of the Juilliard School, had never acted in her life. George plucked her out of Juilliard, took her into the show. She stood by Todd Duncan's side. Then the producers at the National said, all right, we've got another solution. The second half of the upper balcony for every performance for black people. And Todd Duncan and Ann Brown, and at this point the whole cast said, still not good enough. They got a little nervous. The producers, the cast was being threatened to be fined for breaching their contract. They wouldn't relent. And in March of 1936, the National Theater is desegregated for the first time in its history, thanks to this production. So, yes, it's to me, that is why I do the theater. It's not just what's happening now, it's the history we come from and the fact that this work has had this long history through the 20th century, onwards into the 50s with a production that tours Europe with Leontyne Price, William Warfield, Cab Calloway. The young Maya Angelou is a dancer in the chorus, becomes a movie in 1959 with Sidney Poitier, Sammy Davis Jr., eventually touring opera houses all over the world. And then the great gift of this production to have incredible contemporary artists like Suzan-Lori Parks, Deirdre Murray, our choreographer Ron Brown, and this phenomenal cast that you'll meet today who are bringing their own humanity, their story, their integrity to add another chapter to this incredible history.
Thank you. And Michael, as the nephew of Ira Gershwin, I'm sure you've seen hundreds of productions of Porgy and Bess. So tell us, what's different about this Broadway production?
Well, Diane has told you all about the opera and the development of the opera starting in 1935. Well, the family has come to realize that opera is a kind of specialized taste, and Porgy and Bess has such a wonderful universality that we wanted to find a team and put together a team that could bring Porgy and Bess back as a Broadway musical. And we picked this lady here on my left, and what you're going to see and what you're going to hear today is much more of the Broadway musical version than the opera version. The Broadway musical version is accessible. It has a tighter dramatic structure than the opera. Yes, it doesn't have the highs and lows of opera performance, but at the same time, we have come to feel that this is a gift that we hope the country and the world will appreciate, that they can come and see it in a more understandable and viable way.
Thank you. And Diane, so this was a musical on Broadway with a lot of incredible dance and choreography. Could you tell us about how that works into the show?
Yes, we have a great choreographer named Ron Brown. And I think, another difference, often when this is done in a big opera house, you have a separate group of dancers who are doing the dancing. But in this production, we have a tight ensemble. Everybody is doing everything. They are singing, they are acting, and they are dancing. And Ron's approach was, I think, similar to all of our work on the show, was to really build authentic expression. That it's not a Broadway musical, here we go, 5, 6, 7, 8, jazz hands. This is about character and history and people's, soul-searching existence. And that was my quest in the production. And it went everything for how we cast the show, how we did the costumes, and how they move on stage. Every movement has meaning, and it's connected.
Can I just say we won't see the dances today, but the dancing is absolutely amazing, and I've seen the show many, many times. I still cannot believe you guys are dancing like you do on stage at the Golden Gate and singing brilliantly and acting at the same time. I'm amazed, so I just want to give that one. It's pretty amazing.
And finally, so this version of the Gershwins Porgy and Bess has had an exciting journey. The world premiere at the American Repertory Theater at Harvard University, followed by the Broadway revival that won the 2012 Tony Award for Best Musical Revival. Pretty awesome. And so it won the Tony. So what is most exciting out of all of this? What is most exciting about taking this production across the country?
Well, first of all, making theater is hard, like everything, and it takes time. And we have been on a journey for years building the show. And it's like making a painting. You just get to go in there and deepen it and detail it and rediscover it. And here we are in 2013, 14. The world's changed. We can kind of feel the show in a new way with new performers. I think this tour, taking the show out across America, is, to me, sort of the pinnacle of this journey. Because this is an American masterwork that belongs to American audiences all across the country. I mean, it was great we did it up at Harvard, great we did it on Broadway, but every single person in every little hometown across America should be able to see the show and say, yes, I understand this story. I relate to this struggle, to this love. And to know it, not just people who know the opera, but for young people. That's what's touched me, is that a young generation can now say, George Gershwin, wow, he's good. And those lyrics, Ira and DeBose, those are pretty good. And you know what? That's our American cultural history that we need to educate and give to people so they can own it and be proud of it.
Great, thank you. Thank you, guys. So I'd now like to welcome Nathaniel Stampley and Alicia Hall Moran, who play Porgy and Bess, to perform Bess, Use My Woman Now.
Bess, you is my woman now. You is. You must laugh and sing and dance for two instead of one. Want no wrinkle on your brow. No how, because the sorrow of the past is all done. Oh, Bess, my Bess, the real happiness is just begun.
Never going nowhere lest you should fall. There's no wrinkle on my brow, no harm, but I ain't going. You hear me saying, if you ain't going, with you I'm staying. Porgy, I'm your woman now. Eyes yours forever. Morning time and evening time and summertime and wintertime.
Morning time and evening time, it's summertime and winter time. Bess, you got your man. Bess, you is my one, now and forever. This life is just begun. Bess, we two is one, now and forever. Oh, Bess, don't mind those women. You got your porgy, you love your porgy, but I see it in your eyes, Bess. We'll go swinging through the years
evening time, summertime and wintertime.
Morning time and evening time, and summertime and winter time. This minute I'm telling you, I'll keep this vow. Oh, my Bessie, please
Thank you. That was so beautiful. That was, it was so great. Thank you. So you guys play Porgy and Bess. So can you tell us who are the characters of Porgy and Bess?
Well, Porgy and Bess are two people that probably wouldn't normally be together. And through the course of the show and this story, some extraordinary events happen that bring them together. And they truly are each other's true loves. And so once they're together, you know, their lives completely change. They become really different people. And so it's wonderful to take this journey every single night with Alicia.
And Suzan-Lori Parks helped encourage us to understand these characters as essential as Romeo and Juliet, Tristan und Isolde. You know, these are two Americans in love, in English.
Yes, thank you. And how did you guys work to develop both your individual characters and their relationship?
Bess is a fiery woman who often finds herself on the outside of things, and I don't have any difficulty understanding that point of view. I had a really lovely upbringing, so I think that for me, all of the work has been in understanding kind of that emotional disenfranchisement and really trying to be more honest to the humanity of it, to resist mean mugging, to resist feeling that there's something dirty about being unqualified for a moment, because it could just be the next moment where you get that qualification. So it's been a real journey for me, but Porgy's has been also physical, and I think it would be amazing if he talked about that role. It's really difficult.
Well, I think at the core of Porgy and playing this role, I mean, one is one of the greatest roles ever written. And so it's just humbling and an honor to, you know, to be on the stage and, you know, play this role that William Warfield and Todd Duncan, Simon Estes, I mean, like, these are incredible artists that have played this role, Norm Lewis. And so it's exciting to be in this role and to present it in a way that is very accessible to American audiences. And it's an honor.
Great, thank you. And what has it been like to be part of the ART production at Harvard and the Broadway production and now the tour?
Oh, well, it's incredible. I mean, we've been, both Alicia and I, we've been there since day one at the workshop, and then the production at the ART, which was truly amazing. I mean, those first audiences, they taught us a lot about the show, and I think we learned a lot, and then we came to New York and had an incredible run, and we got a Tony to prove it. And now we get a chance to travel the country, you know, just sharing this incredible masterpiece that Diane was talking about. You know, I think the most exciting part about this production is that we're going to bring younger audiences and we're going to introduce this piece to them. Whereas, people that are a little bit older than us, Porgy and Bess means a lot to them. But for a lot of younger audiences, they don't understand what Porgy and Bess is. Is it Porgy? Is it this, that? And so we're here to, sort of spread the gospel of Gershwin. So it's wonderful. Yeah.
Great. Thank you. And now I'd like to invite a few more people up on stage. We want to welcome back Sumaya Ali, who plays Clara, David Huey, who plays Jake. I'd also like to introduce Kingsley Leggs, who plays Sporting Life, and Alvin Crawford, who plays Crown. Up to join Alicia and Nathaniel. So, Sumaya and David, what is it like starting off the show with such an iconic number as Summertime?
Well, no pressure. It's only been recorded over 30,000 times, more than any other Broadway song ever. But at the root, it's a beautiful lullaby that parents are singing to their child. And I think it represents all the promise and hope to come for Catfish Row. So it's mostly my taking myself out of it and being true to the story and just using myself as an instrument to give a message,
I would agree with that. And also, what's really interesting about this version is that in the reworking of the piece, they really wanted to establish the love that Jake and Clara have for each other and for their child right at the beginning of the show. And so in this version, Jake gets to sing along for that reason. Traditionally in the opera, it's only Clara who gets to sing it. And so it's a really, wonderful moment that we get to share and establish that and sort of speak that sort of blessing over our child, if you will.
Great, thank you. And what does it mean in the context of this whole story of Porgy and Bess?
Oh, wow. Well, it means a couple of things. First of all, I think it's establishing the setting of Catfish Row. I'm talking about everyone knows it's summertime automatically. They know where the cotton's high, living's easy. So I think it's a great way to not only show the love and magic of this community, but also just set everything up to just reel them in for an adventure to come, I think.
Thank you. Alvin, hello. In Porgy and Bess, Crown is the antagonist, but his relationship with Bess isn't fully straightforward. What do you think draws Bess to Crown, and does Crown have any redeeming qualities?
Yes, Crown does have redeeming qualities. But I think Crown is misunderstood, I think. He loves Bess in his own way, but one thing I would love to say is that we all know that person in the community who is that guy. And we also know that couple that shouldn't be together, and that is Crown and Bess, because they have that toxic relationship that they don't feed each other well. As Nate was saying earlier, they are good together, but Crown and Bess are not. But for whatever reason, that toxic drug-induced haze and love is why they're together. But I think I would also say one of the redeeming qualities about Crown is that he's the guy that goes to rescue Clara in the storm. So he also has a place in Catfish Row.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, Kingsley. Hi. Tell us, who is Sporting Life?
Sporting Life is a snake and a scoundrel. I always joke backstage because I have so many props that I have like pockets full of good times. I've got playing cards and money and dice and hooch and happy dust. So he brings the party to Catfish Row, but he's also the directly responsible for Bess's downfall.
And can you tell a little bit more about how he influences that narrative?
Well, he instigated a lot of the tragedy that happens. He's right at the centerpiece of it, making it happen because he has his own goal and his own objective.
Thank you. Okay, and now we're going to have another big hit from the incredible score. Kingsley Leggs and cast will perform It Ain't Necessarily So.
necessarily so. It ain't necessarily so. The things that you're liable to read in the Bible, it ain't necessarily so. Won't you tell us more? Little David was small, but oh my. Little David was small, but oh my. He fought big Goliath, who lay down and dieth. It ain't necessarily so. Swadu, swadu, sim bam biddaloo, sim bam biddaloo, hoodalada wada, scatty rock. Oh yeah. It ain't necessarily so. It ain't necessarily so. It ain't necessarily. They tell all you chillin', the devil's a villain, but it ain't necessarily so. To get into heaven, don't snap for no 7. Live clean, don't have no fault. Oh, I takes that gospel whenever it's possible, but with a grain of salt. With a grain of Jonah, he lived in a whale. Jonah, he lived in a whale. Yes, he made his home in that fish's abdomen. Oh, Jonah, he lived in a whale. Swadu, swadu, sim bam biddaloo, sim bam biddaloo, hoodalada wada, scatty rock. Oh, yeah. Methuselah lived 900 years. Methuselah lived 900 years. But who calls that living when no gal are giving to no man what's 900 years? I'm preaching this sermon to show ain't Nessa, ain't Nessa, ain't Nessa, ain't Nessa, ain't necessarily so.
Thank you guys. That song is so much fun, and the way you guys perform it is just amazing. Thank you. And now we'd like to take a few questions from the audience.
I'm just wondering how you go through the sort of cycle of emotion. I imagine it's got to be really draining. The story is so deep and powerful. How that cycle plays out on a night-to-night basis, how those emotions get renewed, and how you really deliver the message with such heart every time.
I love being in shows that are really dramatic and have this kind of content. But I was just talking with Suzan-Lori earlier before we started this, I don't know, is just something very special about this show. Even watching them sing that number today, waiting over there, I started crying. I was like, oh, you got to get yourself together. There's such humanity in this piece that it's just such a joy to tell this story every night. I have to remove myself sometimes from the rest of the piece because of what I have to do in the piece to keep it all in perspective, you know, and compartmentalized. But I think part of it is just the joy of telling the story, and because these people have been such incredible stewards of this piece and the story and what we're doing. You want to give it truth. You want to give it all that you have, and you want it to reach the person in the top and the back. So it's just wonderful to play every night.
Yeah, and I'll chime in also. You know, with this particular production, you know, we don't have the trappings of really huge sets and a really large cast. So so the story is in the forefront. And so that demands a certain level of commitment every single second you're on the stage. So there's nowhere to hide, first of all. And secondly, as you can, sort of sense today, like we are truly a community on and off stage. And so that helps. And I also, for me personally, in this role as Porgy, I try to keep it as light as I can off stage. And I like to laugh and smile and save my voice as well. But so that, you're not living in those really dark and heavy moments 24/7, because that's tough to carry around with you all the time. Yeah.
I totally have to decompress, watch Everybody Loves Raymond or something when I go home. I do. You do. You have to shake it off.
And also, I have to say, those of us coming from the previous productions, and also now this cast are veterans because they had a rehearsal process in New York together, shared. Really knowing the inner tracks of the ensemble as well as we do, we understand the real strength that Porgy gains is from the community, the real strength that Bess will find when she's redeemed. Oh, she messes it up by the end. But they come for her to heal her and to give your body weight to the women in the cast, or Sporting Light slithering all over you. Only Mariah could prevent that, and he gets rid of her. So, we really understand that you're going to get through the day with the actual actors, but the characters are going to make it through because of the actual community. And we represent a new era of that because we know what they're pulling, and it's crazy good. I love your question. Thank you so much.
I'd like to hear a little more about the process of adapting the production to what you call a Broadway musical version as opposed to the opera version. I mean, there's the staging, there's the music, there's the story.
Sure.
I'd like to hear more about that.
I think, if the opera is done uncut, which sometimes it's done, it clocks in at well over 4 hours. So I think we knew we wanted to make a version that really retained the incredible score that told the story as specifically and as truthfully as we could, but we wanted to just close up on it. We wanted to make it intimate and focused and theatrical. So of course our production is 2.5 hours. So you're looking at cuts, and George and Ira made cuts the first night after premiered in Boston. They cut out 45 minutes. So you're going from guides, from the original authors of options of things to cut. And Suzan-Lori and Deirdre Murray and myself and our music team, our conductor and our associate, we spent, I'd say, at least 1 year going bar by bar through that entire score, laboriously figuring out how to make the cut, how to continue the musical line, what is necessary, what maybe could we take out to strengthen something, to make it even more kind of immediate. So it was an incredible process, a careful process.
Yeah, maybe, a chunk might have been cut and then add a few words here, to make the character arc stronger. It's a lot of basic dramaturgical architectural work to track each of these characters. Each and every one of these main characters has a very, very strong and definite character arc. And sometimes we might have cut a character out, a minor character, and replaced him or her with one of the main characters to carry that storyline through.
That Summertime got rearranged a little bit to have an extra singer in it. So was there much of that kind of change as well?
Definitely thinking about how to tell the story. And I think, the point that Sumai and David were making, that this idea, people hear Summertime and you kind of go, oh, that hit. Or, oh, Fantasia sang that, so in our production, it's no, look at the story. Look at what this song means, right? With Daddy and Mama standing by, and there you can see that Daddy and Mama looking over their baby. So, every choice was driven by, of the story, to really intensify the story.
I just want to say, because the exciting thing, so you see Jake and Clara singing this wonderful song to their child at the top, and then if you know the show already, or if you've seen it, or if you might see it, watch for when it gets reprised and see the meaning. And that's in the original, but watch how that song gets reprised and remember the first time you heard it in the show and the meaning that it takes on as we travel through the show and the other things going on stage, especially when we hear it the last time. What is going on?
It's sung 3 times.
Yeah,
and the tragic thing is those 2 characters die.
Yeah.
So you start the show, you know, and if you know the story, it's almost like you almost can't watch it. It's just like all the hope in that moment.
Yeah.
But again, as Alicia was saying, you see how the community rises up through it. You know, it's that uplifting growth amidst terrible adversity and tragedy.
One thing that's true about this is that the emphasis here has been on story, just as any good theatrical piece has to respect story. And we've taken that, our Diane and Suzan-Lori have taken that and as a charge, and I believe have solved it really, really magnificently.
I always like hearing you say that. I never get tired of that.
Hi, I am completely in awe that I'm in the same room as Suzan-Lori Parks and Diane Paulus. I actually am a graduate of ART in 2006, so sadly I missed you because you have been doing amazing work there. Amazing. It's so impressive. And my question is actually 2 things. How is it that you came upon this play as something that you want, or musical that you wanted to revive it, and 2, how is it that you have created in many of your works somehow found the balance of artistry and an audience appeal in such a way that you make obviously audience keep coming back and loving everything that you've done? And where do you find that? Because it doesn't seem to me like you've sacrificed any artistry in any of the work that you've done. So,
well, I'll answer your second question first. I believe in the audience. I believe audiences are smart. They want to be challenged. They want to feel. You know, and I think it's a very generous act, an audience, in this day and age, when we're all so busy, to come out of our lives and be live in a room together. You know, so we have an obligation to meet that audience. And that's where I start as a director. It's really not about like my art, what I want to do. No, I think, why tell the story now? What's the event? What can we communicate? Why should an audience bother to come see Porgy and Bess? You know, that's where I start. And that rather that being distracting or, you know, pandering, it's actually the catalyst for me as a director. And that's the theater, right? I mean, when you work in the theater now, you really have to think, what is the theater as a medium? It is about live transmission. It can only happen in the presence of an audience. Not a lot of other artistic mediums are that dependent on the living, breathing moment. And I think in our day and age, to feel present and alive, I mean, it was a question of you all saying about being in the moment. That's a gift to be, I mean, that's why I love doing the theater. It's like rehearsal, you're in the moment. To come into a room, and that's, I think, what an audience craves. You know, you forget the past, you stop thinking about the future, and you are in the present, emotionally, psychically, with these characters. So you know, and this is a piece that allows you to go deep, as Kingsley said. So when I was approached by the Gershwin estates and the DuBose Hayward estates, you know, would you be interested in this charge that Mike said? You know, we know it exists as an opera and it will always exist as an opera, but what about creating a version that really celebrates it as a musical? Would you want to do that? And what writer would you like to work with? That really came from the estates. That was a huge sign to me of the willingness to really make this feel relevant to our, you know, lives today. And working with Suzan-Lori, I was dying to work with this lady. Are you kidding? She's a genius. And her dramaturgical mind is so strong. So, you know, this experience of creating this, and then, you know, it's about them. You know, like the art of a director is, you know, I know something about it, Suzan-Lori, we know something about it, but then it transfers to the cast. And that's how they get through every night, I think, because they are telling the story. They are the keepers of the torch and the flame. You know, they are holding that much more than us now. You know, we've given it, we've raised the baby, and then like the baby has to go out in the world. In this case, across America. So yeah.
I know you mentioned briefly Leontyne Price and that tour, and I think you were referring to the 1955 tour to the Eastern Bloc. So I know that was a huge deal because that was the first American musical or American opera that came to USSR and all those countries. And I know they had a different message to spread back then, but I'm wondering if you had the opportunity now, or maybe you will, where would you take this production in the world, and what kind of message would you want to say now as opposed to back then?
Well, I'm not sure that the message is anything more than what you see. The message is there. It's truth. And what Suzan-Lori and the rest of the creative cast believe that community was like. And yes, we're open to taking. A matter of fact, we're doing a production in London at the Outdoor Theater there this coming summer.
No, I think what's wonderful about this production is that while our work on it was, or my work on it was dramaturgical and architectural, you know, I think what happens is in this day and age, there is a political component that we can't escape, and that is that as simple as, you know, people of African descent are people. We are people. And I think that is dovetailed exactly hand in glove with the message, if you will, of the very first production of Porgy and Bess. I think that's what Mr. Gershwin's and the Haywards were saying. I think that's what it said when we went to the Eastern Bloc. And that's the beauty of this country, that we can say that about all of us. We are all in it together. And when we take that and we go abroad, or we go just to various cities around the United States, we are all in it together. Hello. And we go abroad and take that message, we are all in this together. That is a very powerful message for the world, to remember that it's all of us together in here, you know? So it's good stuff.
And one more question, one last question.
A question for Sporting Life, Porgy and Bess. Individually, do you think your characters would have liked to have seen a sequel to Porgy and Bess? And to Michael, do you know if your Uncle Ira and George, had he lived, had planned a sequel?
Not that I know of. And I guess emotionally I would very much doubt it. They had plenty of other things to do.
Well, I'll just say, you know, in this day and age now of prequels, you know, actually, I'm actually more interested in that, like the sort of before story, and the way that this production is put together. It really is up to the audience to decide, you know, what happens. And I think that's where, as actors and audience, you know, we're all in the same room. That's one point where we all get together. You know, you decide. Everyone walks out of the theater with different answers. So at the stage door, I enjoy to hear what happens with, you know, Porgy and Bess.
I love this question because you're going to hear our personalities and how we answer it. So his idea would make money with before and a blockbuster after. And my idea is kind of that it's being presented as a fable, in a sense, in the original and in the way it's been recreated here, so that, just like Diane said, it's heartbreaking when the young, beautiful couple comes out for summertime with their baby. Because you know by the end, and the harlot is holding the baby. Man, oh man, that's the cycle. The baby, the birth of something else. It's gonna go well for you, or it's gonna go badly. You kind of get another shot at it the next day in the next show. So I think each of us are everyone, like a kind of not an everyman so much specifically in the narrative structure, but like, you know, Aesop's fables, there's no before, there's no after. It's its own universe. You're going to be the dinosaur this time and the monkey next time. You know that kind of idea. And I know there's no dinosaurs in Aesop's. Don't get all technical with me.
That was awesome. I agree with Nate. I think what's extraordinary about it, this piece, is that it's not wrapped up in a bow. at the end. And it allows everyone to have their own interpretation of how does the story end? How do you think it ends? How would you like it to end? And I think that's wonderful for everyone. I think probably the dying question for everyone is, does he find her in New York? Does he make it to New York? Does he find her in New York? But I really feel that it's best the way it is. It's best that we don't know. I think that goes along with the message and the spirit of what the piece is.
Thank you. And now, the last song we're going to hear today is Nathaniel and the cast singing "I Got Plenty of Nothing."
You should know that the next scene is shortly after Porgy and Bess get together for the first time. It's morning, and I'll let the cast take it from there.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Oh, you looking better than good, Porgy.
Look at that smile you got.
What you been up to?
Nothing. I got plenty of nothing, and nothing's plenty for me. I got no car, I got no mule, I got no misery. The folks with plenty, got a lock on they door. Afraid somebody's going to rob money's out of making more. What for? I got no lock on my door, that's no way to be. They can steal the rug from the floor.
You ain't got no rug.
That's okay with me, cause the things that I prize, like the stars in the skies, all are free. Oh, I got plenty of nothing, and nothing's plenty for me. I got my gal, I got my song, got heaven the whole day long. Got my gal.
Porgy's looking like a new man. That's what love will do for you. He's lucky.
Oh, I got plenty of nothing, and nothing's plenty for me. I got the sun, I got the moon, I got the deep blue sea. The folks with plenty, gotta pray all the day. It seems with plenty, you sure gotta worry how to keep the devil away. Now I ain't a-frettin' about hell till that time arrive. Never worry long as I'm well. Never want to strive to be good, to be bad. What the hell? I was glad I was alive. Oh, I got plenty of nothing, and nothing's plenty for me. I got my gal, I got my song, got heaven the whole day long. No use complaining, got my gal, got my Lord, got my song.
Ladies and gentlemen, the cast of Porgy and Bess. Another round of applause. Thank you for joining us here at Google, and thank you guys for joining us as well. And thank you for coming.